The first step, honestly, is not as hard as you've probably made it out to be in your mind. What's up, beautiful people? I'm Erin, and this is Erin on Demand, and today we are talking about overcoming the fear of starting. Now, let's not let this be another year of us saying we are going to do something and then not doing it. I want you to think about the thing that you haven't started yet. And I want you to think about how long you've been saying you are going to start. And now I want you to think about the fact that the time is going to pass anyway, right? So you're still here in this moment of time, and we can look back and say, oh, if I had just started last year, oh, if I had started 2 years ago, where would I be now? But I want to encourage you that for one, it's not too late. But for two, you still need to start now, okay? So I'm gonna go through a bunch of different tips to encourage you. I'm gonna share some of my story to just encourage you to get up and get started. So the first thing that I like to do is just transfer my fear of starting into fear of not starting, because all fear is our brains trying to protect us from something new. It is really a protection mechanism, which is pretty amazing. And once we understand where that fear is coming from, we can channel it into a more positive type of fear. So instead of fearing, what if I start and it fails? What if I start and I don't know what I'm doing? Or what if I'm embarrassing myself? Or what if people don't like it? Or all of these negative thoughts that we associate with starting, what if we channel that into the fear of not starting? So if I don't start, what will my life look like? If I keep on the path that I'm currently on, what will my life look like in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What about the people that I'm possibly going to impact with this idea that I haven't started yet? What are they gonna do? Like, think about your fear as a positive thing to push you in the direction that you need to go, instead of a negative thing that's holding you back from taking action. Now, when I tell you, I was supposed to start this YouTube channel years ago, like years before I started it. I started it years ago, but I was supposed to start it years before I started it. And I think about the fact that there are nearly 400,000 people who watch this channel, and what your lives would even look like if I didn't start this channel. And when you think about the trickling impact that you are able to have on a few people, on a lot of people, it puts your life into perspective and it puts your purpose into place, okay? So I want you to be encouraged that you need to transfer that fear of starting into fear of not starting. I know for me, I got to a point where I was just tired of wondering what if. So I had been planning to start my YouTube channel for years before I actually started it. And then I was like, okay, I'm tired of thinking about what if I started, what if I do grow? What if it does take off? Or what if my life totally changes? Or what if it opens all these doors? I just got tired of wondering like what would happen if I did and still not doing it. And I think that that's what I'm gonna call your fear threshold, where you actually get tired of fearing and get tired of not taking action to the point where you're just like, skip it, I'm just gonna do it, you know? And getting closer to that fear threshold is what we want. And we wanna be able to actually acknowledge fear, but work anyway, or push past it almost immediately. Like, you notice the fear and you're actually encouraged by that fear. But a lot of times when we don't put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, we never really know what it feels like to face fear head on and to actually push past it. So to get that fear threshold closer to where you are now, so that you don't end up in 5 years, 10 years, still wishing, still wondering, what if, I would say, understand that the time is going to pass anyway, honey. You are still going to live your life day in, day out, and the time is gonna move. And it's like, are you gonna let your life move with the time, or are you just gonna stay still? And once I thought about that, like, I'm like, okay, Erin, give yourself a year. Give yourself 1 year to go all in with something and see what happens. Because at the end of the day, Lord willing, you're going to end up letting the year go by anyway. The time is going to pass. So if if you can let that fear threshold, if you can get closer to it and just get tired of constantly wondering what if you take action and just do it, then I promise you, you are going to be able to continuously face fears a lot faster if you just take the first step. The next thing is prioritizing your future self. And I read Atomic Habits. It is one of my favorite books. I'm always talking about it and sharing it with whoever because it really did change my life. In the book, he says to prioritize your future self. And this is a really powerful way to build positive habits. So just for example, if you cooked a big old dinner, last night, and after you cooked dinner, you were just so tired, but you hate waking up to a dirty kitchen. But you were like, I just don't feel like it. I just cooked this big old meal. I'm tired. I'm going to sit down, watch my show. And then you wake up in the morning and you start your day with a dirty kitchen. Now you've got to clean the whole kitchen. You've got to go through all of these steps just to get your day started. You can't even wake up and go downstairs or go to the kitchen with a clean mind. And it just puts you in a damper place to start your day. That if you were thinking about your future self the night before, you'd be like, you know what, even though I don't feel like it, I'm gonna clean this kitchen up because the last thing I want to do is wake up tomorrow and see this. Now, this is a small example, but prioritizing your future self can look like, okay, I'm gonna go for a 30-minute walk every day, or I'm gonna, save $100 a month, or I'm going to open up this investment account, or I'm going to, whatever, prioritize family or relationships. Considering your future self always helps you put now into better perspective so that you can take those small actions that compound so fast and create a future that looks like what you want it to look like. Okay, the next thing when it comes to the fear of starting is realizing that the first step, honestly, is not as hard as you've probably made it out to be in your mind. Like seriously, the first step can honestly be the easiest step. It's just the fact that it's the first step. It's real in your mind, but you're making it real in real life, which makes the first step seem so daunting. But the first step could be making a phone call. It can be contacting a friend who has a resource that you could use in order to get things going. The first step is the first step to building momentum, but that does not necessarily mean it is the most challenging step. A lot of times we think about building a house instead of just ordering the bricks as the first step. Like you're thinking about the entire thing at one time instead of thinking about small things that you have control over that you can do right now. So instead of thinking about building out a whole coffee shop, think about, okay, right now, what can I do with what I have? Okay, do I have a coffee maker? If so, maybe I can buy some cool different coffee beans and try some different toppings or do some coffee shop remixes, or maybe I can go do a coffee shop tour and taste different coffees and rate them on social media or whatever, curating your own recipes. Sometimes we think about the big picture and it feels so huge that we feel like we can't take any steps until we can do that big thing. And that's step 1,000. And we are looking at all of these other local coffee shops or all of these other entrepreneurs or all of these other influencers. And we're just like, well, I can't do that right now, so I'm just not gonna start. That is their step 750, and you're still at 0. So what I want you to do when it comes to feeling like your goals are so big to the point where you can't take action, you're crippled by the intimidation of your own goals, is I want you to think about where those people were at step 1 and not where they are at step 700, okay? When you look at even a YouTuber, if you look at my channel and scroll all the way back, you will see a huge difference from my first video to my current videos. I've upgraded my gear. I have a team now. I have way more resources than I had when I was first starting. And where we go wrong is we compare our current state to someone else's mastery, and it's not fair to you. So think about what you can control right now. What are the things you can do? I want you to write a list of things out that are associated with your goal. It might not be getting your products in Target right now, but how can you start finding some resources? Who do you know who has created even a digital product or something that can just get you a little bit further to where you're trying to go? And do that. The next exercise I want you to do, I actually did this with another coach, and it opened me up so much because I didn't realize that I had fear. I was one of those people, and I think that's just how I am. I'm one of those people who I'm just like, if I get an idea, I'm going after it because I know what that has gotten me so far. So I know the consequence of sitting on ideas, and I don't want to experience that. So I felt like I didn't really have any limiting beliefs. I'm like, I believe in myself. I believe in God's plan for me, and I believe that I am walking in my purpose. However, your girl still has some limiting beliefs, and it's normal, it's natural. We just have to acknowledge them. Sometimes we have to dig a little deeper to figure out what they are. So I had to do this exercise, and I wrote 3 different columns. One column was, what is your limiting belief? The second column was, why do you think you have this limiting belief? And the third column was, what action can you take to overcome it? So one of my big limiting beliefs when I did this exercise initially was I was so scared to hire. And the reason why, which was in column 2, was because I was afraid of someone else's livelihood depending on me when I'm like, what if we don't make enough next month? Or what if we don't make enough in a year? Like, what am I gonna do? And I realized that a big reason why a lot of us have limiting beliefs is that we just don't know. Like, we just don't have the knowledge to support what it is that we can do. So once I realized, like, okay, Erin, but you've been continuously making money for the last year. You have more work that you could be doing and designating your energy to other things. Why are you so, why do you feel like you might run out of money, essentially? And it was because I just didn't know the numbers that I was bringing in. So when I wrote in my third column, how can I overcome this? It was, I just really needed to understand how much money we were bringing in and how much money we were spending every month. And once I realized, okay, Erin, you are bringing in a lot of money. You can actually afford to hire not just one person, but multiple people. It just kind of diminished that limiting belief. Like, you've been doing it. You're just entering a new phase where it's something different. It's something new. So acknowledge those limiting beliefs. It can be anything. Maybe you feel like you're too old, you're too young, you're not qualified, your background isn't aesthetic enough, you don't have the right equipment. Whatever those things are, write them down. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but acknowledge them. Try to get a little bit deeper as to why that is something that is limiting you, and then try to figure out what you can do to overcome that. And if you're somebody who is a faith-driven person like me, I am really strong and rooted in my faith. And so one thing that I think is important is not only just believing in yourself, but actually acting as if you already are. And when I was starting my channel, I was like, you know what? I might have 12 subscribers, but I'm still gonna upload consistently. I'm still gonna put in so much effort into my thumbnails. I'm still going to try to find the best music. I'm still gonna, try to make the video quality look as good as possible. I'm still gonna edit. I was consistent, and those things matter because you are not only just believing, you are acting in your belief, which is an even deeper level of faith. So act as if you already are, because if you have the expectation to become something and you are not taking action that aligns with that expectation of your future, then there's never going to be that alignment is never going to be, and it's going to be so much harder for you to get there. You cannot wait until you think you're at a place where you can now put in more effort. It just has to be there. Overall, I just want you to think about this. What if someone whispered in your ear and said, if you start this thing by December, your life is going to be totally different? I see it. I know it. Like if there was a future person that just knew, they just knew what was coming for you. And they told you, if you do this thing this consistently, maybe it's once a week you have to upload a YouTube video. Maybe it's you need to work out 3 times a week. Maybe whatever that thing is for you. And they told you by the end of this year, your life is going to be 1,000 times better. And it is going to look 1,000 times different in the best way possible. Would you believe them? And 2, would you do the thing? Would you start and would you put every bit of effort into making it happen? I bet you would. I bet you would if somebody told you that they knew this was coming for you, your breakthrough was coming. What if it just took one more try? What if you knew that you've been chipping away at this thing for all of this time and it takes just that one more time? Would you keep going? You have to think about these things because you just never know. Success does not always take as long as you might think. Success can be extremely quick or it can take a while, but you just have to put yourself into these mindsets and really believe, really act in belief, so that it can be for you, okay? I love you. Make comfort uncomfortable. Stop being okay with being comfortable. As soon as you start feeling comfortable, try to push yourself to the next thing. That means it's time for you to move forward and start something new. It might not be a new business, but it means you need to push yourself to a new level, okay? I love you guys. I hope this encourages you to just start, because your life is waiting for you to live it. And if you keep sitting on not starting, baby, best believe, don't be mad when somebody else get going on the thing that you was supposed to get going on. And then you sitting up mad because you didn't start, okay? Ideas are meant to be out of your head, okay? I love you. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.